Start off the disinvestment discussion and get in Mr. Mohammad Halim Khan, the Disinvestment Secretary, who joins us from New Delhi to speak about this. Mr. Khan, thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us. For the last 3 years, disinvestment target has been at 40,000 crores, and at best, what the government has been able to do is 22 to 23,000 crores. What gives you the confidence that 30,000 crores can be achieved in FY13?
Well, let me say about the numbers first. Why we chose 30,000, not 40,000 like previous years, or maybe more than 40,000, because in 11-12 we could achieve only 14,000 or so. Now we consciously decided to keep the targets at 30,000 because we thought that if we repeat the targets on the basis of historical numbers, then probably in view of the past performance, it will not carry conviction with the people who are going to talk about, write about, and analyze the fiscal deficit projections. So government wanted to communicate a message that these targets are based on realistic assessment of what is doable. It was more of a message to communicate that we are serious about projecting the fiscal deficit numbers this year, and we have taken into consideration and factored all the slippages which have happened in the past with regard to disinvestment. So I don't see that this 30,000 number is just numbers. It is more than communicating the realistic assessment of the things to come.
Mr. Khan, good morning. So if you could give us a split between the secondary sales as well as primary ones, and are we likely to see more IPOs than FPOs as the government, track record has been better as far as IPOs are concerned?
Well, it is not a question of track record. I think you have to understand the disinvestment policy in a larger perspective. If you recall, it started in 1990-91 sometimes. And see, it was more of an economic reform measure. So it is not really, whether IPO are successful or FPOs are successful. You have to see that the policy per se requires that all CPSEs which are doing well, which are making profits for 3 years, which have got positive net worth, they have to be listed. Now, listing brings a multi-layered oversight mechanism into the corporate governance. So that is how it is linked to the economic reform process. Every reform or every activity has to be monetized. So in the process, we also get some proceeds. Now, it is not that it is IPO versus FPO, or it is what is the easier way to achieve the targets. Bringing out IPOs has got as much importance as the targets, because it enhances the corporate governance in the government companies.
Okay, just some responses, Mr. Khan. The NBCC IPO which closed yesterday, were you happy with the response that the IPO generated?
Do you know the good news? Good news is that NBCC, as per my preliminary information, is already oversubscribed around 6 times. And the very interesting portion is that the retail has been oversubscribed around 3 times. So it seems that the things are changing for better.
Mr. Khan, there's also talk of the Department of Divestment considering opening of a dedicated window for retail investors once the auction is done. Is that true?
Well, you see, there are a large number of suggestions which come to us, but at this point of time, I won't be able to say that this option is already, there's a larger consensus that we will do this thing. But yes, DoD is concerned about enhancing the retail participation, and we are looking into options in a traditional way as well as keeping in view the best practices elsewhere globally, and see what can be done to improve the retail participation.
Can you give us some sense of the timeline? I mean, by when we are likely to see the next issue from the government? I mean, IPO or an FPO, which is the next likely candidate? IOC, BHEL, SAIL, Naval Lignite, there are a number of candidates.
No, I think we have been talking about this aspect of disinvestment, and I have been consistently maintaining that it is not a good strategy to talk about a company in particular and when it is going to enter the market, because then it becomes some sort of a commercial information which can be leads to certain level of speculation, and I don't think the market will be happier with a lot of speculation which is more than what is already there.
Mr. Khan, there have been some objections from the Heavy Industries Ministry for BHEL. Even in case of Neyveli Lignite, there had been earlier opposition from the local alley as well as unions. Have all these issues been resolved?
No, I don't think there is anybody who is opposed to the disinvestment policy per se. So, I mean, oppositions in the sense of the term it is used, I don't think it is the right term to be used. Yes, I agree with you that there are opinions with regard to timing of bringing a particular issue or entering the market, and apparently anybody who is not comfortable with the present market prices and the present market capitalization of their company certainly will like to suggest that let us wait for a better price and better times, and there is nothing wrong in that.
What's the update, Mr. Khan, on the residual stake in Hindustan Zinc and Balco? I mean, is there also a move to divest the residual 26% stake in Tata Communications? Any proceeds from the residual sales which have been accounted in the 30,000 crore target?
See, that's what I'm saying, that you see the individual companies, for example, Tata Communication, we are not dealing, so disinvestment will not be the right place to answer for that. With regard to Hindustan Zinc and Balco, I understand, the Ministry of Mines has received some communication from the Vedanta Group chair, and they are mulling over how to respond to that. I am sure there is a process involved. So the answer is drafted, then it is legally vetted, then it is authorized at the EGOM level, only then it is issued. So I really don't know whether we can talk about that at this point of time. I'm sorry to disappoint you on that, yeah.
Mr. Khan, on the winding down of Suti, are you actively considering divesting some of the holdings?
Well, I think again, because this is being handled by my colleague in the Economic Affairs, so Mr. Gopalan will be the right person to answer this question. But I understand they have taken a proposal to the Cabinet, which has been, of all I know, it has been cleared, and you will hear soon something about that. Yeah.
So the Cabinet had approved, Mr. Khan, the buyback of PSUs. Have there been any movements on that front?
Well, I think you really want to get the hang of the situation, then I think you should better talk to the CMDs of the companies which are sitting with a lot of equity, and in some cases the equity is much more than their annual turnover. So they should be the people who should look into what is doable on their side. As we have maintained all along, DoD is not willing or interested in suggesting any company that you should go for buyback. It has to be a professional decision of the board of directors of that company.
Mr. Khan, finally, for this financial year, you think the government investment program will be much more successful than what we saw last year, and that offerings will happen at attractive valuations?
Well, I think there is no reason why should we feel that this 30,000 is not achievable for so many reasons. Number one, in the past we have done up to 23,000 crores, so it's not something much beyond that. Number two, the market seems to be doing reasonably well in comparison to November, December 2011, and then a lot of paperwork has been gone, then there are certain options which have been are available now. So I think put together, I think it should be comfortable this year.
Okay, Mr. Khan, thanks so much for joining in today and giving us that bit of perspective.